wood blocks this small usually, and if it was a wood block was that small, it wouldn't be this detailed, it wouldn't be this fine, you know. And so it's easier to print when you get down to the little tiny, you know, tiny stipple spots and really fine lines. You know, if you pick up the paper and you put it back down, even the most infinitesimal movement, you know. So
it's quick. You just know.
So you're rotating, you're changing up your...
Can you see it? See when it's inked right?
I usually go at it from different angles,
Yeah.
you know, and then I look at the sheen on it and the grain of the ink, and I have no idea whether it's really right or not. But
Do you have
anyway.
some paper ready, or should I get you some paper?
Oh yeah, I got some paper. Oh shit. Oh
Let's
no.
see paper. Hold on.
You have any paper?
What do you need?
Rice paper,
We didn't run
mulberry,
Kitakata?
kitakata?
Sure.
I knew I'd forget something.
Came to the right place, though. There's a lot of paper.
How long do you blocking out ink before it starts to back up or dry up too much?
It depends on the ink. This Daniel Smith ink does not have any dryer in it, aside from the dryer that's in the plate oil. And all it is carbon black and three out plate oil, different plate oil. And
Mulberry orchid, how do you want me to tear that in half, or you want the whole thing?
no, this is the paper I normally use. This is great stuff for wood engraving.
Okay, well, too bad you didn't bring yours, because this will be my print, you know, this is my thing.
It's okay.
It's a beauty.
Damn, I knew it.
Should I tear it?
You shouldn't have said nothing. You could mess it up now. It's good.
Should I do the rice paper fold with the water and the brush? What should I do? How do you tear your paper? Water and the brush?
I use scissors myself. Damn master printmakers, you know.
Right. No chopsticks, just a fork here.
It
Want
doesn't
a
have
quarter
to
on
be
that,
straight,
or
you
do you
know.
want me to just tear this in half?
Yeah, I use that.
Think about that.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh yeah, great. That's it. Yes. Yeah.
That's what he does.
Tear that in half again, or how big is your block? Yeah.
Let's see, I don't have one of these.
Yeah.
A little grid?
Trader for the print.
Grid is the way.
That's nice.
Grid, you go buy the grid paper at Nerd Media. Archival, so it's like $70 a roll. But, you know, it's the way to go on the press.
Okay, so with a wood engraving, you usually want to print on the smooth side. Although I don't know if that really matters, but now there are times that I have a little wooden jig that sometimes I lock the block in and everything, but normally I just I just do that.
Eyeball.
That's art. That's totally art.
You know. I keep it simple. Oh man. Oh, that's beautiful. It's like a volcano. So,
Paper towel?
yeah, we had an accident over here. Yeah. Spilled my
He's
drink.
running.
There you go.
There's a lot of paper towels.
Put any of your...
You gave me one of those, real hopsy beers.
One of the fancy beers, yeah.
These things are the best spoon to use if you're gonna print, do a poor man's,
Rocks
Do you
print.
need any
No.
wax paper or
That's
newsprint or
for
anything?
sisters.
No, just
No.
go right on.
That's just like,
It's a rice spoon. You can get it in any cooking store, yeah. It's nice and flat. And the more you use it, the smoother it gets,
Yeah.
you know.
Bring your drinks over to that corner.
Now, normally, they do
It is Friday.
recommend that you have a, you know, a piece of tissue paper or wax paper or something. Not wax, but a thin piece of paper so you don't. And, you know, I don't find that to be necessary.
You're a professional.
Yeah, you know, I just. And it's basically just, the paper's important, you know, you want to be able to, the paper needs to be absorbent, and it needs to be thin enough so that you can see the image come through the back of the paper. Always, yeah, it's always some form of Japanese, you know, paper. Mulberry works, or not I mean, sometimes I use mulberry, but Kitakata works really well, and it's got a beautiful color because it's, you know, it's very, it's got a dark natural color.
The piece on the show card, is that on Kitakata?
Yeah,
so you can just keep your hand in that.
as long as, once you know, got the paper adhered, you've actually printed part of the image, then it's not going to go anywhere. Hopefully.
You're looking for it to show through, basically,
Uh-huh.
on the side and see that you've got a solid coverage.
Right.
This is great. This is true inking and drinking right here.
It's just like my home, you know.
Inking and drinking.
Except I don't wipe it up at home.
Talked about this some years ago, and I more or less envisioned it about like this.
Inking and drinking?
No,
It's, you know, this is a little tricky.
It's the calibrated pressure, I think.
See it, you know, when you run it through a press, you don't see
The
that.
paper's surprisingly tough. So, yeah.
It is. It is. I mean, you know, it happens. But where you run into problems is at the edge, because it's very easy to slip over the edge. And once you slip over the edge, you're screwed. You know,
Yeah, I
if you
know.
put a big.
It's not a good thing. Really dent your paper.
So generally, you work out, you know, towards the edge. Yeah, this is printed a lot. This
Yeah,
thing.
it's beautifully burnished.
Man,
Wow.
It's the burnished.
Yeah. Is it made of bamboo or something?
Uh-huh.
Looks like it's bamboo.
You know the Leonard Baskin?
Uh-huh.
You know, this huge.
I studied with him.
Yeah. You know, he had a guy that printed his prints, or helped him print his print, and it was done by hand.
Yeah.
Not with a bamboos, but with a, like the handle of a, and in fact, I think Barry Mosier in his book has a picture of this, and it was like a, you know, this handle, hardwood handle for something, and it was worn halfway down because this guy had, you know.
So many prints with it.
Does the boxwood or the maple, how do those respond to humidity and stuff?
That's a problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not a problem if you don't move. You know, and I've never gone anywhere else, but if I were to move to a climate that had, you know, was either much more arid or much more humid,
So you're not
It can
going
be a
to
problem.
you're not going to take a box full of blocks to Santa Fe to do a demonstration.
no. Well, I could, but I wouldn't be there too long.
Not in May.
Yeah.
You could get away with it in like January, February,
You know, in the old days, they would,
August.
when they'd make a block, they'd actually put pins through it, just for that reason.
Oh,
You know,
to keep
but
it.
even that,
See, now if we'd been doing this on the press, we'd be done by now.
I know,
Would you use a thicker paper? Because you don't have to see the image,
No, you can do Kitakata.
but you can use other papers. So.
Right.
Is there any advantage
You could use
aesthetically?
thicker paper.
Is there any advantage aesthetically doing it on a the way he's doing it rather than on a press? I mean, do really fine engravers do it this way as opposed to a press?
I think if they could do it on a press, they'd do it on a press. You know.
Yeah.
I'm
It's,
trying to say which is better though. I mean, which gives
The
the
o-
most
You know-
satisfactory results.
it's sort of a it's a subjective thing because some people really love to see that embossment that comes from using a press, and other people are like, oh no, like Dennis Culver is like, no embossment, no embossment. And he prints on a press, but he teaches people to use just enough pressure so that you do not get an embossment, but you get the full printing of the thing.
Yeah.
So it's a subjective thing.
You know, there are instances where printing by hand is the preferred method in Japanese printing, for
Yeah.
example, where
can
you
really
actually want
control-
variations.
You can get the variations.
You know, you want to see the rub marks. Yeah. And in some of the woodcuts I've done, I've actually done woodcuts where I vary the values based on, you know, how much pressure I'm applying. But for what I'm doing here, you know, if I could run this through a press, that'd be fine.
Do you ever use other colors of ink? Looks like all the pieces you have here.
I'm a black and white guy, at least for this stuff. I mean, I've done other kinds of imagery, abstract imagery and so forth, where I use color. Occasionally I'll do a print where I will maybe use some red oxide. That's a kind of a traditional combination.
Do you ever do a reduction print where you?
I have never done a
Never done
reduction
that.
print. You know, I have a good friend
Yeah.
in Seattle who's really good at reduction prints, and I don't know, you know, one color at a time, you know.
Like you could do 10 or 15 of these and then take them off and then carve some more on your wood block and use another color and match the corners with your first print and get, you know, lots of layers.
I'm amazed at what some people do with that process, you know.
I stood at that very spot today
You did?
on my bike ride. Yeah.
Anybody try to mug you?
No, it's not so bad actually. Now not. Maybe back in the day it might have been.
I was there a couple of times last week. So I was under the bridge the one time because it was raining.
There's a lot of ducklings and goslings there.
Actually, it's a really cool part of town,
Beautiful, yeah.
because there's all those kind of old factories along the water there and stuff, the
Yeah.
foundry. And
How do you know when you're finished?
well, you just, you know, rub for a while, drink beer.
Did you beer before?
Then you check
You
it.
can peek.
Oh, hey, that looks
wait,
good.
wait, wait.
That looks good.
Huh. I might have lucked out.
Pretty good.
Nice. Good for you, Jay.
Yeah, good for me.
Yeah, you even got the edges.
Beautiful.
Why not?
Beautiful. Wow.
Voila.